This is Morrowind, and this is Tamriel Rebuilt. Today we're taking a look at the largest Elder Scrolls mod ever created, a mod that's been in development for as many years as I've been alive, or more. It's older than Morrowind somehow. Tamriel Rebuilt is a massive extension on top of Morrowind's base game, adding at least 4 times the content and taking the player to the mainland. Unlike Skyrim or Oblivion, which take place in nearly the entirety of their respective provinces, the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind is only set in Vvardenfell. Tamriel Rebuilt aims to scale up the surrounding areas to truly recreate the province of Morrowind. Ever since I first played this 2002 classic a few years back, you freaks would not shut up about this mod. Well, as I'm sure you can tell by the title, I tried it. In fact, I dropped over 24 hours in it. Before we dive into my first ever attempt of this mod, let's first talk about its structure. Tamriel Rebuilt does not have a main quest like the base game. Instead, its storytelling is structured through the factions and guilds. In today's video, you're going to see me roleplay as Jedi Master Coleman Trebor and his ascension through the ranks of the Temple. Little different than the Jedi Temple, but it's the closest I could come up with. Well, actually, just background noise came up with it and suggested for me to play it. Basically, Tamriel Rebuilt works in a similar fashion to the base game. You join a faction, you do their quests, and you advance up the ranks. Except this is what the Temple questline looks like in the base game, and this is what it looks like in Tamriel Rebuilt. Keep in mind, you can still do the base game questline beforehand, so really this is what it becomes. This is the case for every faction, guild, and great house in the entire game. There's even brand new ones to check out and explore. It's nuts. But I'll talk more about the details of how factions interact with each other as we continue throughout the video. For now, let's start with our character. Jedi Master Coleman Trebor. Fans of the Glupshido Skyrim video I did may recognize him from my roster, but this dude has a grand total of about 9 seconds of screen time and is instantly blown to bits by Jango Fett. Luckily, just like the Elder Scrolls, there's obscene amounts of lore for random characters you never see again. The challenge today is simple. Become a master of the temple using only skills Coleman Trebor could use if he was dropped into the world of Narn. The big one, we must abide by the Jedi Code, do everything we can to help those in need. Unlike Anakin or Mace Windu, Trebor considers himself a diplomat over a fighter, probably why he died so fast. Our first attribute to level 100 must be personality, and we must approach questing content as diplomatically as possible. Violence is a last resort. Probably his biggest handicap is the lack of armor. Luckily, Morrowind has something called unarmored, so it's a bit more manageable compared to Skyrim. Weapons are self-explanatory, only one-handed blades and hand-to-hand are permitted. As far as magic goes, illusion for Jedi mind tricks, alteration for force shields and enhancements to acrobatic skills, mysticism for telekinesis and other reality warping abilities, and restoration for force healing. All other magic, weapon, and miscellaneous skills are not permitted. To a degree, he can't create potions, but he can still drink them, you know? This is what the final build looks like. Not great, not horrible, let's get into it. Welcome to St, everybody. Man, it's good to be back. Probably didn't need my camera on, but you'll see it in the first 10% or so. I wasn't sure if I was going to like Tamriel Rebuilt, so I streamed the first 6 hours or so over on my Twitch before I dove headfirst. I did edit down the raw footage and threw it up on my second channel, so if you want more content of this run, I'll put a link to that in the description. Anyway, I don't do much here. We're not allowed to steal as a Jedi, so it makes looting a little more tricky, but there's some free items up for grabs. We punch some dudes, free the slaves, you know how it is. Jedi business, go back to your drinks. Once I have some basic gear, I head over to Veloth and take a boat to Old Ebonheart, our first destination in Tamriel Rebuilt. There's a few quests I pick up here, nothing crazy notable, I was just getting the feel of things. Old Ebonheart is absolutely massive and it feels like a city. It is very easy to get lost for a non-Morrowind player like myself. This is like my third time playing the game, but I don't know if last time counts because there was Malort involved.
Dwemer Puzzle Cube!
To begin the temple questline, our objective is to get to Almas Thirr, a temple stronghold situated between both the Hlaalu and Indoril House, who are currently vying for control. This political strife will become important in a moment, but for now I'm tasked with the hardest thing Morrowind has to offer: navigating cantons. I fucking hate cantons, dude. They are so annoying to get around, and I said that when I started Morrowind, and I'll say it again. Cantons suck. A lady out front tells us a bit about the struggle between Hlaalu and Indoril and how this temple is viewed as neutral ground. The Ordinators here are kind of like international police and keep both factions at bay. She mentions that the temple's job in this city primarily is to simply maintain the peace between the two houses. The temple chambers are inside the canton, because of course they are, and Coleman Trebor is given the rank of layman of the Jedi Temple, Tribunal Temple. Low-key though, this is a pretty good roleplay comparable. I don't know if you guys know Star Wars lore, but the Force is kind of like governed by the father, brother, and sister. Kind of like the three deities at the Tribunal, it's a pretty good fit. But before we can peacekeep for the temple like the Jedi we are, we need to become initiated. If you're familiar with the temple questline from the base game, you know you need to pass a handful of pilgrimages before you're allowed in. I think you only need to do 3 from any temple anywhere in the province, but something bugged out for me and I ended up doing like 5. The first and only pilgrimage offered in Almas Thirr is the Bloodstone Shrine, a monument where Sharai the Herder sacrificed herself for St. Veloth and his followers so that they could cross the Velothi River. It's worth noting here that the lore behind Tamriel Rebuilt is based on what existed during 2002 when Morrowind was made. None of the new lore in Skyrim or Oblivion is included, and ESO is apparently the worst offender. Listen to what they say on their official site. The Elder Scrolls Online is a setting so far removed and so deeply retconned from what we see and read in the Elder Scrolls 3 that there is very little there that can be used while staying consistent with the Elder Scrolls 3's game world. Yeesh. Anyway, this pilgrimage is pretty cool, and there's a special section for my fellow Argonian enjoyers who aren't allowed to wear shoes. Originally, the initiate is asked to walk to the Bloodstone Shrine wearing special footwear. Coleman Trebor obviously can't, so we're given a special ceremonial cloth to wrap around our feet. Inside are glass shards. My genius solution is to burn my scrolls of Icarian flight I got from the mage at the very start of the game, and use a levitate potion to land right at the front door. I was too low level to use my force healing abilities effectively, so this was my best option. After finally making it to the shrine, we're told a little bit more about Sharai the Herder, and have passed the first pilgrimage and the only one offered at this temple. So, we head to the next closest one, Bal Foyen, just to the west of Old Ebonheart. Bal Foyen is interesting because it's a starter zone in ESO, however, it's in a completely different spot in this mod. ESO takes place 741 years before the events of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, so that's plenty of time for a city name to change locations. Anyway, this place looks awesome. It's like it was built around waterfalls. You can see them running through the actual city. It's really cool. We're offered 3 pilgrimages by the head priest here. Drop frost salts at Almalexia's shrine, climb a mountain and meditate for 24 hours, and bring an iron spear to the shrine of Vivek. I am now initiated into the temple and am given my first set of duties to perform. Right now, though, it's time to get a weapon befitting a Jedi Master, our lightsaber. I thought long and hard about what fit this build the best while staying true to a Jedi roleplay, and I decided on Boethiah's Daedric quest. Getting to the ruined temple was easy for a reptile such as myself, and all the Daedric Prince wanted was a new statue, which costs a whopping 2,000 smackaroos, basically all the money I had in my possession, and after spamming sleep for 20 days, this fantastic statue has been erected, and I received my prize. This was my first Daedric quest ever in Morrowind, if we're not counting Blood Moon, which I have a whole video on. I only found it because I looked online for cool green/yellow Morrowind swords. It's not really green, but it comes with the added addition of flame damage, which is probably the closest lightsaber enchantment I can think of. I also got Mark and Recall, which, yes, Jedi can't necessarily teleport, but mysticism is permitted for this challenge. Look, man, this game was being created before I was born. I need fast travel. Just let me have this. Okay, so now that we're kitted up and ready to go, we have various duties to perform for the Bal Foyen temple. The first is to help this old guy who's on death's door. He's overcome with greed and wants a potion to cure it. I try and convince him that's not possible, but he won't hear it. The Bal Foyen head priest dude is a bit of a dick, by the way. Something about him is off, and he's always pissed off at me for some reason, or he's always trying to take the easy way out. He tells me to go buy a potion of cure disease and just lie to the old man and tell him that it'll fix him. This isn't too bad, but he gets pretty racist very soon. The next task is to find a member of the temple who's out procuring food for their soup kitchen. However, despite my epic skills of diplomacy, I am unable to get the vendor to donate the food and must pay. Got it down to 900 gold from 2,000, so not too bad for Master Trebor. Unfortunately, as you know, I just spent all of my money on the statue for a Daedric prince. I have pennies to my name, but I remember I stashed some skooma at the very start of the game in Satanim. After scooping up the drugs, I unload all of my narcotics over at my boy Creeper.
Oh man.
I'm able to scrape together just enough to afford the food, which will supply the Bal Foyen temple with provisions for 2 years. And instead of being thankful, this fucker right here is upset I spent my money on his temple to help his people. I'm disappointed in you. What? No, of course I cannot reimburse you. Next thing he wants me to do is take care of an orc who has painted his face to look like Vivek. We get this whole story about how he's causing trouble and fucking with pilgrims, and it's heavily insinuated this priest wants him dead. But when we get to the city where the orc is, the priest here tells us he's actually pretty chill and he's been helping the pilgrims. The Dunmer just find the way he's betraying his devotion to Vivek insensitive. The orc is basically culturally appropriating the Dunmer, let's just call it as it is. Bit ironic to hear the Dunmer bitch about racism, but alright. The orc immediately challenges us to a fight, and after beating his cheeks, we can persuade him to maybe wipe the face paint off. Although his story is touching, where he goes over how he was saved by a warrior of Vivek and devoted his life to follow the warrior poet, we ask him to look inward and undertake a pilgrimage himself. He agrees and goes on his merry way. Can you guess who's upset with that outcome? If you guess the head priest of Bal Foyen, give yourself a high five. He's so pissed we didn't kill him, he makes us do an additional quest for a pilgrimage of forgiveness. We have to beg for forgiveness because we paid for the temple to have food for 2 years and spared an orc's life. Can I recall a time when the orc did not ravage? Okay, this guy's racist. This guy hated the orc. He wanted me to kill the orc. And his favorite book is called The Pig Children, which is clearly a racist term for orcs. I think this guy's just a dick, dude. We find a monastery nestled in the mountains just north of a town called Manon. We're going to be coming back to this place, so remember it. The ritual here isn't super exciting, but there's a cool part deep in the caves. Secret door opened. Oh, this is cool. It's like Indiana Jones. Once we've been granted forgiveness by the shrine, we must return and are tasked with one final duty. As the saint did, so should you. You must make a donation to support the charitable mission of our temple. I already gave these guys 900 gold for food. What more do they want? Judging by your lack of decorum and modest dress, I realize you probably don't have much to give. Because I'm dressed like a poor person.
Maybe she's right.
He doesn't really care how much I put in here. How much money does he want, dude? I only have 119 gold. Let's do 15. I have put money in there. I count 15. That's quite the adequate. Okay. Thank God. We have now advanced to the position of initiate and must return to Almas Thirr once again for more tasks to complete. The first thing we need to do is solve a mystery surrounding the stronghold smith. He's come down with a mysterious cough and isn't sure what happened. He gives us the key to his home, and we investigate. All right, we gotta deduce what's going on in here. Oh, there's just a shit ton of smoke over here. Maybe you shouldn't have a fucking open flame in an enclosed space, moron. Suspicious powder. With our high speech, we're able to get the disposition up on our interrogation targets, and this woman, Khalida, spills the beans. She admits to poisoning the smith because she's an agent of House Halalu and saw he had a work order for House Indoril. However, her intention wasn't to kill him, it was to sabotage the forge. We can convince the smith not to report in this crime, and he agrees. For now. Thanks to the effort of the temple, which is another way of saying it was all me, this crisis has been averted. There's quite a bit of choice during this mission, which is actually pretty cool. You can stay neutral or side with either house, so I imagine if you did this quest while doing a house quest line, you might want to pick one or the other. Our next task is to deliver some mail to the son of the leader of House Indoril. And this town, Roadir, is pretty cool. I love this black slate style architecture, and it's paired really well with the little colorful lights and flowers scattered around this town. However, I was told by my Twitch chat that this area is going to get overhauled, which is surprising because it looks great as it is. Anyway, the Indoril son wants our advice on what to do with a slave who broke every bone in its body. There's a couple unique lines here if the player is actually an Argonian, which is cool. I tried most of these dialogue options. As far as I can tell, there was only one that he accepted, which was to give the slave a quick death. We also do a nearby dungeon because we're low on funds. Who would have thought working for a church would involve so much charity work? After dumping our inventory at Creeper, we're low-key flush with money. Our next task is to have a chat with some people in Old Ebonheart to stop flaunting the ways of the temple and disgracing the tribunal. My epic powers of persuasion and diplomacy come in clutch here, and I'm congratulated by the priestess for exactly that. Remember that Indoril prince dude we spoke to about his slave? Yeah, it turns out his dad has been pumping out some epic gamer words of wisdom that very clearly slam the Halalu house in a not-so-impartial way. We're bound by the temple to spread these words of wisdom, but we have to do so in a way that doesn't make us look like we're favoring the Indorils. However, some people in Almas Thirr are starting to think that the head priestess lady may not be so impartial. Clearly, twisting the holy words of Indoril favors the House Halalu, and what happens next doesn't help. Khalida, the woman who poisoned the smith by accident, is sheltering in the temple because the smith went and reported her crime to House Indoril. Khalida has all of a sudden become a born-again temple member and is seeking sanctuary from the Indoril garrison who have come to seize her. Again, we're a peacekeeper and try our best to talk to all the major players here and see if there's a way to resolve this peacefully. Funny enough, that Indoril prince dude is the one who takes my side and tells his troops to back down because I helped with his slave conundrum. Little bit of mixed feelings on that as an Argonian player, but alright. Did Khalida deserve to be saved? I don't know, but it's not the Jedi way to question the teachings of the temple. We saw what happens to those who do. Now we reach the climax of the Almas Thirr story arc, preventing a full-on war between House Indoril and House Halalu. After being promoted to the worst Star Wars show ever made, we're told to report to the Office of Intercession. This was the place that gave us the letter at the very start to deliver to the Indoril Sun guy. We're asked about the head priestess and if the rumors are true that she favors House Halalu. I, of course, say she's impartial, but they don't really seem to believe me, so I don't even know why they asked. We head out to a temple infirmary near Old Ebonheart to assist a healer with something troubling. The healer tells me an insane ordinator has gone missing and is located somewhere around the temple grounds. After finding her, I try to talk some sense into her, but I'm not able to find the correct dialogue chain to convince her to follow me. But if you lead her back to the infirmary after she's aggressive, that works too. Next up, we become an official Inquisitor of the Temple. Darth Vader would be pleased. Just like the Inquisitors in Star Wars, I also get some fancy-ass new drip. We head over to a temple that the office thinks may be corrupted with Daedric influence. Doesn't take too long to figure out if that's true or not. What the heck? Got a Daedra down here? What the f? I can't free the slaves. I have to try. It's the Jedi way. What the hell? Oh my god. I report in to my fellow Ordinators and join them on the assault of the corrupt. Now, normally I don't think a Jedi would authorize a purge That's literally what Order 66 was, but they had slaves that they were sacrificing to a lava pit, so I think it might be warranted. The final mission for the Office of Intercession is that we must stop House Indoril and House Hlaalu from going to war. Essentially, an Indoril nobleman got into a bar fight and killed 2 Hlaalu laymen. Being a noble person, the Indoril man hands himself in to the Hlaalu authorities, but instead of being ransomed back to House Indoril, they enslave him and beat him near death. We uncover this massive mystery here and his dead body, which is buried at the edge of a plantation. This is cause for House Indoril to hire the Morag Tong to assassinate several Hlaalu members, so we need to play our cards right. After some expert diplomacy between both Hlaalu and Indoril, Jedi Master Coleman Trebor prevents any further bloodshed and keeps the peace once again. You can choose to side with either one of the houses if you wish, or stay impartial like me. I assume if you're doing one of these houses' questlines, you'd prefer to side with them, so there's probably some unique endings here. We're given an insanely nice weapon from the Indoril Prince guy, but I can't use it according to my rules. Time to make a pit stop at Creeper. Now that we're the rank of Adept, we can do some more quests and head back to that monastery by the waterfall I mentioned earlier that had that secret door in the basement. This is the Monastery of St. and the questline here is pretty small, only about 3 or 4 long, but there's a few important things. This monastery specifically is a safe haven for converted criminals, so everyone here, including the head priest, has some kind of dubious backstory. The missions here expand on that, where you help several of these converts confront their criminal pasts and help them move on. This questline is the first time in the entirety of this run that actually rewarded me with money. Most of the quest rewards for the temple are just potions or spells. Not here. You plunder so much loot from various criminal organizations, it's great. Anyway, we are directed to the Monastery of St. Veloth to work for this guy. All the quests we get from this guy take us all over the mainland to deal with supernatural disturbances. It's one of my favorite portions of the temple questline. Anyway, before we get to ghost busting, let me update you on Coleman Trebor. We now have a couple custom spells on theme with Force abilities: heal, mind trick, jump, open door, etc. We also kinda spammed Caius and other trainers for a boatload of experience. We're around level 25 by the end of this questline, but you know what they say? Busting makes me feel good. Can you believe that's a real line in a real song? Our first quest for the Office of Ghost Busting is to investigate a grieving father in a nearby town. His daughter is being refused burial with his ancestors, and we need to find out why. Turns out there's a rumor this guy would visit a Daedric temple with his daughter, but was proven innocent in court. However, the superstition that his daughter's ashes may be corrupted is enough to scare the townsfolk. With a little Jedi mind trick on the leader, he will permit the burial, but only if the father undergoes a ritual of cleansing. This is a big deal in Dunmer lore, apparently, and the priest here says to perform the cleansing ritual, if the father refuses, it's essentially an admission of guilt, and he'll be taken in for questioning. He does indeed naturally refuse, but again, with the flick of my wrist, I can persuade him to undergo the ritual. I wonder what would have happened if he didn't agree. Would they actually have taken him to be questioned by the temple? That would have been interesting to see, but no matter. This issue is now resolved. Next quest for me is my first Argonian mission of the whole fucking game so far. This is unfortunately one of the most boring missions I've done so far in the quest line. It's just a fetch quest. However, we need to turn it in at Necrom. The only thing I know about Necrom is that it was the newest expansion of the Elder Scrolls Online when I bought it, but I know this city is one of the most important landmarks here in Morrowind. We hop, skip, and jump our way over there with our Jedi jumping abilities and have to locate a priest. Necrom is such a beautiful city. My god, they did such a good job. I take it upon myself to kind of explore around and see what's poppin'. We learn from an ordinator here that Necrom is unique because half the city is alive and half the city is dead. There's a mini ghost gate in here and the inhabitants live alongside their ancestors. It's very cool. After half an hour of exploring, and no, I'm not kidding, that's how long it took me to find this guy, he accepts the ashes I collected and tells me I qualify for the Rite of the Voice. What is that? Well, it's a sacred order of the temple here, kind of like a sub-faction where we can become a speaker of the dead. You know how the speaker works in the Dark Brotherhood? It's a similar idea. Once we accept, we're able to talk to a ghost in the same room, the true leader of the speakers. He tells us most undead will no longer be aggressive to us now that we bear the mark. Our first task is to investigate a haunting at Roadir. We've been here so many times. This is where the Induro leaders are. In the basement, we find a dead body and the accompanying ghost beside it. This dude refuses to go back in his body because he's having too much fun as a ghost, literally running full force at people and punching them in the face, and everyone is terrified. We can either just finish off the dead body on the floor and just pay off the bounty, or we can head to this big-ass Daedric ruin and look for a special scroll, get the blood of a virgin, which this poor dude gets roasted for.
We need the blood of a virgin. I know Sarah well enough that this shouldn't be an issue. She just drained this guy's blood because she knew he's got no game.
And now we can summon a Daedra. This Daedra basically says, oops, my bad, a lot of people dying these days, hard to keep track, and puts his soul back in his body. After this, I find my superior who's been handing out missions has gone missing, and I'm told to follow his trail to an old cave. In this cave, we find some freaky shit.
Why do these guys have no faces? What the hell? Is that an Argonian? In the same drip as me? Except he's got the Clovian hat? What the
What does it ask?
What? This Argonian's got the face of a Imperial.
There's a serial killer freak in here ripping off people's faces and stitching them onto others, and they've taken the face of my boss. Originally, this killer comes to me as him, and they trick me into this dark room, but the entity inside here knows way too much about me, and I realize the guy outside is the freak. However, I run into a little bit of a problem.
I don't think I'm allowed to wear, like, not only am I not allowed to wear this is a full helm. Oh, yeah, I can't even wear this if I wanted to. Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to fight this guy. Oh my god, he's tough. Oh, brother. Okay, so how am I gonna do this? Because I can't wear the quest item because it's a full masked helmet. The mechanic to make this fight possible isn't possible for beast folk like Coleman Trebor. However, if you have spells or items with reflect or absorb magic, it's still possible to get the pop-up you need to do the fight. If you don't see this text box, there's no reason to fight him. Trust me, I tried. He's way too strong. Even with his power reflected back at him, this is an insanely hard boss fight, probably the hardest of this entire run. After several attempts, I'm able to take him down and get some of that juicy loot. You know where we're going next.
Creeper.
Okay, that's the last one, I promise. Before we move into the finale of the speaker quests, which takes us to a new realm of oblivion, consider dropping a like on the video. This one specifically took me close to 60 hours to make, and if you'd like to see another episode with a faction of your choice, be sure to comment what I should try down below. If this video hits 15,000 likes, I'll do another episode. I'll play the faction with the most amount of likes, so make sure to upvote each other's comments down below. These videos would not be possible without your support, so thank you for your consideration on liking or subscribing. Let's head on over to Oblivion. This quest starts out simple enough. Investigate a tomb. However, when you do, something strange happens.
What the hell? Where are we? Is this Oblivion? Like, is this the Deadlands, or where are we?
We are in a place called Kalon. There's a few hours of content to do in here. It's basically a mini zone. There's collectibles, side quests, you name it. But I'll just stick to our temple questline for now.
Holy shit, is that a Vermai Battlespire reference? What the hell?
Basically, we find out a group of Dunmer ghosts has been plopped into the realms of Oblivion for their afterlife, and they're not really sure why. It seems to be held together by this woman, Aini. But if we save her spirit, everyone here will be destroyed. We have to convince her to let these people go she has trapped here, and they're better off if she didn't hold them here. After some mini quests and whatnot, we're able to convince her to let go and transport back to our plane of reality. Our reward for this epic quest is a pretty nice new robe, which is much better than what we were previously wearing. It's worth it to note, these speaker quests also award you with a unique armor set. According to my stupid Coleman Trebor rules, I can't wear it, but here's what it looks like if you're curious. Minus the helmet and footwear, of course. Anyway, we're still an adept and are being turned away by most temple priests because our reputation is too low. The only ones I can physically do are the next stage of questlines in Bal Foyen that open up once you've hit adept. We're back doing quests for this dick. First one I do is basically to blackmail a bunch of nobles around town for money. Probably my least favorite quest I did throughout this whole video. It's just long and hard, which no one has ever said to describe me. The next couple quests you kill some people, I don't know, it's not really important. The finale, however, is. Remember how I've always said this dude is a dick and something is off about him? Yeah, turns out I was right. Somehow, he convinced that sick dude we gave a cure disease potion to at the very start to sign over all his wealth to the temple. Turns out, I wasn't the only one suspicious. This lady, Ravur, was too, and she was sent to spy on the priest by the ordinators. She thinks he's embezzling money, and with some sneaking around, we find the evidence to prove it. This dude has drained the temple treasury and hid all the money somewhere else. To find it, we need to chill and see what he does next. I give the grieving daughter my condolences for the death of her ill father, and after escorting her out of the temple, the priest has bolted. Ravur thinks he caught wind of what we're doing and has run to the treasure. We beeline it to the old man's house and find the priest sitting there, basking like a dragon around his newfound wealth. He spills the beans and explains how he deserves the money, how he served the tribunal for decades with nothing to show for it, and he has the audacity to try and bribe Coleman Trebor. This guy thinks he can buy off Coleman Trebor? Is he insane?
Coleman Trebor, please, it's all yours if you just choose my side against Ravur.
I don't think so.
Untidy tale comes to a sorry end.
I call on you to lay down your arms and surrender yourself.
You're beaten.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to go so well.
I have you.
Hey, nice try, man. I will take 2,000 gold to refill the temple's coffers. The rest is yours. Consider a reward for your good work. Hell yeah, let's go, finally. I guess it makes sense why I wasn't getting gold during the temple questline, especially in Bal Foyen, because this freak was stealing it all. After finally looting some much-needed plunder, we return to the temple and find Ravur has instated herself as the temple's master. We have completed Bal Foyen's temple questline and are ready to advance to the next rank. Temple must secure the location. Can I advance, please?
Oh my god. Oh my god. How long have I been playing? How long have I actually been playing?
17 hours. I've been playing 17 hours. And I'm still not past adept. I don't even think I'm halfway done the temple questline. Jesus, there's so much to do. For context, this is how many quests I've done. Including pilgrimages, we're looking at around 35 missions. I have all the favorite skills leveled correctly and have done almost everything I can physically do at the adept rank or lower. I was stuck, and I had to call in the big guns. Just background noise helped me troubleshoot this for over 30 minutes, so shout out to the GOAT, W's in the chat if you're feeling youthful. Turns out, by default, something called Tamriel Rebuilt Factions is enabled. I did not download this mod, it comes pre-packaged so you can understand how someone like me wouldn't know to turn that off. It doubles the reputation requirements and is integrated with the base game. According to Reddit, someone else had this exact problem with the temple questline specifically because it requires you to do the base game content. But if you disable the factions mod in OpenMW, it'll fix itself. So with the mod disabled, I'm able to skyrocket myself up to Diviner and do some more content. Let's cross off some of the monasteries real quick. I'm not going to be recapping everything, we're going to be glossing over a bunch of stuff because usually these quests don't have much story. I think the only exception being the Monastery of St. Veloth with all the Ghostbuster stuff. St. Felms was cool to visit because the culture of this temple is so different. Clearly this place is designed for like warrior priests with a massive training ground in the middle. No wonder all of their quests are basically go here, kill something, and come back. No, I'm not kidding, that's literally all of them. The final reward for this mission is the Stole of St. Felms, an undershirt with a bunch of passive bonuses, which is pretty neat. It's actually very useful, and I use it for the rest of this run. There's another monastery, St. Delans. This one is all about books and like giving them to people. I'm only mentioning this one because there was a interesting hiccup at the end that I wasn't too sure how to approach as Coleman Trebor.
See, I can try and Jedi mind trick her for the book, but even with 100%, I can't take this book. So what would a Jedi Master do here? These guys are friendly, quote unquote. I mean, they're vampires, which isn't, particularly allied with the Order, but they're not hostile. Maybe the best course of action would just be to steal it and recall out.
Grab him!
Uh-oh. Whoop!
At this point, we're around 17 hours deep, and I feel like I've recapped everything that was noteworthy. Of course, yes, there's a lot of stuff we glossed over, but there's only 2 things left for us to do. The temple questline in Narsis and the temple questline in Ranyon-Ruhn. Let's start with the real meat and potatoes, Narsis. Narsis is a major city of the Deshaan province of Morrowind. I actually covered it in an ESO video a while back, and it was really cool to see it in the Elder Scrolls 3. To get here, I just spammed the ferryman over and over until I saw the option, and my god, this place is gorgeous. The questline here is quite elaborate, with 13 missions, which is almost as long as the Almas Thirr questline we did previously, which was 14. This city was added in the Grasping Fortune update, which the devs originally reached out for me to try. I am so sorry. They were so nice. They were like, hey, wondering if you'd be interested in covering our mod. Let us know if you need help setting it up. That was a year ago, man. I'm so sorry. Now, I did reply right away, and I also replied before this video, and they didn't respond twice, so I don't feel as bad. But still, I am so sorry it took this long. This is awesome, and we're going to be spending about 8 hours in the Grasping Fortune expansion just doing temple quests, so strap yourselves in. For your information, this content is pretty hard. It might be the hardest in the game. According to this heat map, which isn't quite updated to include Narsis, you can see it gets harder and harder the further out you get from Old Ebonheart. However, Morrowind's power scaling basically puts all other Elder Scrolls games to shame. I'm not even allowed to craft potions or make enchanted items according to Coleman Trebor's build. I can still obviously use them and get experience in those skills, but I can only use the items the game provides. And still, I can take on Vivec right now, no problem. Essentially, I'm just spending hundreds of thousands of gold on training for whatever skills I need, and I did some content here at the hardest level zone on the heat map. Beautiful snowy mountains right on the edge of Skyrim's border, but the combat is basically a joke right now. I'm truly a Jedi Master, and what better way to top that off than ascending to the rank of Master from the Narsis Temple. It's just perfect. Jedi Master Coleman Trebor, we made it, boys. We did it. This head priest lady gives 5 quests, and unfortunately, I'd say only one of them is interesting. Most are just fetch quests without much narrative value except for one. She asks us to reenact the wedding of Vivec and Molag Bal. If you know anything about Elder Scrolls lore, you know this wasn't no wedding. Vivec is basically molested. It's worse than that, but I'm not trying to get demonetized. We have to go to a Daedric ruin on the outskirts of Narsis and, basically do the same thing with a lesser Daedroth. In his 12th lesson, Vivec tells the story of his marriage to Molag Bal in this very hall. Again, really weird to use the word marriage in this situation, because I'm pretty sure it's assault, not marriage, but okay. Am I about to be assaulted? Surely not. Surely they would not put that in this game. We have to read a sermon of Vivec and deliver proof of our love to our betrothed. After we do her 5 quests, we're sent off to Milara in a different temple. Narsis is so damn big, it has 2 temples, 3 really if you consider the Number Rooms temple on the outskirts, but still. Milara is our new boss, and her missions are a bit more interesting. Her first one is to basically kill a necromancer in a sewer, nothing too crazy about that one. Her next one tasks us with putting an end to a group of Shinathi who have renounced the tribunal for Molag Bal. First, we have to talk to the leader of the Usirian clan, which that other group split off from. I just gotta say, the effort the team put behind this mod and put into the models is unreal. These guys look so cool. Anyway, we learn a bit more about their culture, nomadic with slight ties to House Halalu, but faithful to the tribunal, hence why the leader gives me the exact location of the deviants, whom I graciously deal with. Listen, man, Jedi are allowed to defend themselves. If these guys wanted to talk to me first, it would have been different. But Coleman Trebor knows when to throw them hands. We then have to drop off an item at the Ghost Gate, first quest I had to go back to Vvardenfell for, duel a Red Crusader from Cyrodiil in Narsis' arena, which is very cool by the way. It has its own mini-faction questline, and I may have done some of it just for fun. Clear out a Shrine of Namira beneath the city, and recover the Belt of St. Olms from a Daedra inside a ruin. That fight was pretty tough. I died a few times, but it's somewhat important because the artifact is one of two that this temple holds dear. The other one being Muatra, Vivek's spear, which I think is Moloch Baal's wiener. Anyway, this spear is crazy OP, but it's not something Coleman Trebor can use, unfortunately. We have completed all the temple quests in Narsis, and all that remains is the final city, Ranyon-Ruhn. I low-key thought Necrom would have a temple questline. It literally is a city of dead, and basically the town is fully populated by priests. We went there a handful of times for other questlines, but unless I'm missing something from the UESP, Ranyon-Ruhn is the final segment of quests I have yet to do. This place is very unique compared to the other areas I've visited. It's that classic Telvanni architecture like what's in Sadrith Mora. You do need levitate to get around in some places here. Luckily, Coleman Trebor is kind of stacked at this point on Alteration, so it's no problem for us. Most of the missions for this temple take us to different cities within the Telvanni territory in the effort to convert its common people to the temple. The first city we go to is Port Telvannis, which is super cool. It's this chaotic, twisted root city that goes on forever. Really interesting to walk through. Visually, it's almost like it's tricking your eyes. Anyway, the Telvanni people are interesting because they don't really believe in the tribunal. They kind of revere their own mage lords, so converting them is a bit harder. We do this exact mission again in another little town called Lothanis. However, this time there's a side quest to locate a missing girl. She can be found dead on the roadside, and after talking to some of the townsfolk, they reveal she's a vampire. Seems like a small detail, but this will come up again later. When we get back to Ranyon-Ruhn, a mysterious disease has come across some of the residents. We investigate what the cause of this may be, and the head priest identifies the disease as vampirism. In order to safely confront the bloodsuckers, we need Set's Ward, a necklace from Sothasil's youth with insane magical properties. We just buy it from a dude. It's really not that crazy of a quest, but now that we're protected with this temple artifact, we track down the person who spread the plague to our village, dealing with them, then rooting out the rest of the vampires. And that's basically the whole storyline. Like the rest of the temple questlines, I skipped or glossed over some stuff I didn't think was that interesting narratively. There's like an escort mission in here, but it doesn't really impact this temple story. Now that we've done every single temple quest, I tried to promote myself at the end to Patriarch, but I wasn't able to. You might have to do the base game quests for that. Regardless, that wraps up Coleman Trebor's time in the temple, ascending from a nobody to the rank of master. Unlike a certain someone.
What?
This marks the end of my journey through Tamriel Rebuilt's temple questline. So the question remains, should you play it? Hell yeah, you should. I dropped over 25 hours in a single faction for a grand total of $0.00. These questlines, I would argue, have the same or more polish than the base game counterparts. The world is colorful, beautiful, and super fun to travel in, which I didn't really feel from my first impressions of Morrowind as a whole. The base game is a little drab. Narsis was probably my favorite place I went to in this mod. Just stunning. The environment, the city layout, the bazaar with all its lights and details, so amazing. Roadir was also beautiful too. I love that black slate architecture paired with the flowers and lanterns. Gorgeous. Going to the cliffs bordering Skyrim was so cool too. This mod basically has every type of biome you could possibly want. I can't glaze the terrain and environment team enough. It was so hard to not get sidetracked and do every dungeon I came across. I did a lot, mainly because the temple paid me jack shit and I needed money, but it felt like every point of interest I came across had something to do. Everything feels like it has a purpose. When I was streaming, I completed this pirate den dungeon and people were like, oh yeah, this is part of the mission for the Thieves Guild. That's really cool. I doubt I do that faction with Coleman Trebor, but because of this design, almost everything you do has meaning behind it. A little story, a cool unique item, an interesting design. I can't even wrap my head around how they were able to pull that off. As far as critiques, and I have to keep in mind that this mod is made by volunteers, I have nothing bad to say about the mod as a whole, rather just a little note about the temple questline. I think some of you may have been able to tell by the pacing and structure that the further into the video we went, the less narrative importance there was in the temple's questline. Almas Thirr and Bal Foyen, for example, both have very interesting overarching storylines that carried through most of their quests. They also felt a bit more grandiose. The unique pilgrimages, the peacekeeping between Indoril and Hlaalu. We went to fucking Oblivion, dude. It was insane. That wasn't really present in the newer areas, but to be fair, I'm probably looking at the tip of the iceberg. There are so many factions in this mod, there's a high chance the primary ones like the Great Houses or Mages/Fighters Guild got more attention, and that's totally fair. Let me know down below what faction you'd like to see me try next, and if this video hits 15,000 likes, I'll do a part 2. I had so much fun playing through Tamriel Rebuilt. The developers truly have done something amazing here, and I can't wait to get back into the game and drop another 30 hours for a completely new story experience. Huge shout out to my YouTube members who make these videos possible. If you're interested in supporting the channel to get early access to videos, exclusive content, and some other cool bonuses, consider joining the channel and becoming a member. Extra shout out to SauceDaddy86, Jason, Designated Medic, AB, and Navarro for the additional support. I've been Frostbreak. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.